Guys, I found a gold mine and I'm so excited to show you. So this is the paperwork that I found while we were moving. My wife and I just moved. You might have heard we bought a house. And I found the paperwork for my almost bought my first house. Now, yes, almost, but I'm so excited to share this story with you. We almost bought our first house and then we didn't. There was some shady kind of maybe illegal stuff that I may or may not have been involved with, kind of unintentionally, and then got fired by my agent and then some other illegal stuff by the other listing agent. It was kind of a wild ride and I'm so excited to show you. So if you're thinking about buying your first house, stick around. I'm gonna share with you a whole bunch of lessons that I learned, things I did really well, things I did not do very well, and things that you can learn from my mistakes. First of all, we gotta back up and I'm gonna start you with this property. Now, this will kind of let you know where we're headed. This property was a duplex. It was over in St. Paul, Minnesota. List price, $39,000. I mean, this was bonkers. This was back in 2008. This was December 2008. And at the time I was convinced I wanted to buy a house. I was, I believe, a junior in college, and I had been working for a general contractor, so I was learning the business. I've been reading some books, and I had studied a ton about this. Now, unfortunately, in those days, there wasn't really a YouTube like this where you could go learn about real estate or investing or things like that. There was no podcasts at that time. I didn't even have a touchscreen smartphone, I don't think. So for some of you that are younger, you don't even know. You don't even understand a word like that, right? But I had been doing my research, probably looking on, it wasn't Google at the time. I think it was like Ask Jeeves or whatever. But I had decided that I wanted a multifamily property. So this is gonna be an investment property. I was gonna live in it, fix it up, rent out one side, house hacking as we call it now, if you watch Bigger podcast. But so $39,000, a duplex, there were 2 units, there was a little detached garage. The thing was a foreclosure, so it was completely run down. And that was actually what was really appealing to it, was that I was thinking I could make some money, get a little sweat equity in this property. But before we can get to how I almost bought that, let's rewind the clock and start from the very beginning. The first step is always finding an agent. I actually called my mom back in Colorado and I said, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Can your agent help me from Colorado, right? Stupid question, to be honest, from, I was probably 19 at the time or whatever. But she said, no, can't help you. But then she referred me to somebody. They knew the agent here and knew that they were a good agent. So, and she was absolutely right. I mean, the agent, I'm not gonna tell you their name because I don't want them to get in trouble for any of the future things that I'm gonna tell you about. But she was a phenomenal agent and she got me in touch with a lender, and I've got that paperwork here too from our pre-approval. So I'll tell you some good and bad about getting pre-approved in a minute. But first of all, we got pre-approved and I can see we were doing a couple different loans. First of all, the interest rate was 7%. I thought that was really interesting, especially the times that we're in now with interest rates that are high. They were low, and so we're looking back before the low interest rate times. My purchase price was $42,600. The estimated monthly payment, this is gonna blow your mind right here, $515.25 for this property. And that includes principal and interest, insurance, and property taxes for $500. Those days are gone, my friend. That doesn't exist. $42,000 purchase price for a duplex is mind-blowing. But again, this was 2008. The whole market had just collapsed. There was tons of foreclosures. They couldn't sell anything, so they were desperate. And so that's how we got that rate. I did shop with a couple of different lenders I can see here. To be honest, it's so long ago, I don't really remember why I went with one or the other, but I can see that we did go with one that I think was a broker and then one that was just a bank, Wells Fargo. And eventually I can see in my paperwork here that we moved forward with Wells Fargo. So I'll share some good and bad about that, but we eventually got pre-approved. They did send us a closing cost sheet, and I thought this was really interesting too. The closing costs for the loan that we went with, I believe it was gonna be about $2,715 total cash out of pocket for this purchase. So again, that's low. We can get you low numbers like that too, but very little out of pocket, and our payments were just stupidly low. So good thing that I was shopping around. This other one actually was a 6% interest, so I don't know why I didn't go with that one, but we'll get to that soon. So then anyways, we got pre-approved, we got the agent, and we got out shopping. Now, I cannot give enough credit, although it has to be anonymous, to the agent that was helping me out. She was a saint and super patient. She really educated me through the process. I think she really shaped some of how I am now as an agent. She was so patient, and to be honest, if you actually look up the actual amount of money she would have made if we had closed on that or any of those purchases, I mean, it's like pennies. Moving forward, we eventually got a property. I distinctly remember this property. It was December. It was almost exactly 12 years ago, actually. 14 years ago, excuse me. And it was in December. It was cold. We saw this property and something just clicked. And I was like, man, this is the one I'm going to buy. It was ugly. It needed completely remodeled. There was basically 2 units. It was kind of like a single family that they split into 2 units. And it needed some work, but I was like, that's cool. That's my jam. That's what we're going to do. And so we got the report actually from the city. Basically what it says is there was a whole bunch of things wrong. There was electrical hazards throughout the property. There was a window broken. There was some roof that needed repair. It was condemned by the city. It was technically zoned as a condemned vacant building with the city of St. Paul. And so, I mean, I've just got papers after papers of all the issues that were on this house. So I'll talk to you a little bit more again later about whether that was a good decision or not, but it was what it was. And it was the baby that I was gonna be making my own. It was affordable. We could get into it and, you know, sail off into the sunset. You know, it was our first house. I mean, I was so excited about it. So we found the property. We paid our earnest money. Huge red flag, super illegal. You're gonna have to stick around for that one. But then we got into the property. Now, here's where things kind of went sideways, which now in hindsight was not great decisions on my part, but there were some issues that came up with the appraisal after we got the offer accepted. And so basically the way things worked back in that world, which was very commonplace, although not really how it should have been, was that essentially when they're bank owned, the bank wasn't going to be making any repairs, strictly sold as is, they weren't touching the thing. And the listing agent couldn't do anything and the buyer's agent wasn't doing anything. So if you wanted to buy this house and if you weren't a cash buyer, in certain cases, you were basically forced to, someone had to miraculously fix these things that were hazards for the appraisal or they wouldn't fund you the loan. You couldn't buy the property. And so I'm not going to exactly say what was or wasn't done, but suffice it to say I might have been given a lockbox combination and basically said, man, if we don't miraculously have that window fixed, we're not going to be able to buy the home. So there's a list of 3 or 4 different things that someone may have miraculously replaced a window, had a contractor come in and done a shingle or 2, some electrical hazard issues that got fixed, I think a gas line situation. I mean, I'm reading through the papers. I had forgotten about all this stuff. But in any case, somebody along the process may or may not have gotten into the property and fixed up a few things so that we could just close on the loan and get through it. Now, here's the really tragic part about the entire thing. Once that was all completed, we eventually didn't buy the loan, as I had said. And so I didn't know why. I was curious why we never closed on this property, but unfortunately, I found the property. This is our official letter of denial from the bank. Even after we were pre-approved, which is unfortunate. I don't remember exactly the details of why, but I can see right here, we're unable to approve your application for the following reasons. Value or type of collateral is not sufficient. So what does that mean? Basically it means I didn't have enough money for the purchase, which is surprising because it was only $2,200 and it's kind of embarrassing now, if I'm gonna be honest with you. The loan was denied and my dreams were shattered. This was actually the day on it is the date after Christmas. 2008, we were officially let notice we were not be purchasing the house. The real kicker was after we got denied that we weren't be able to purchase the home, I got fired by my agent. Now, at the time, I remember feeling a little betrayed because I was thinking, I just did everything. I spent all this money, may or may not have gotten into the property, did everything I possibly could. Man, I'm a young kid in college. How could they just like ditch me at that point, right? And I was genuinely, I mean, I was really, really frustrated, really sad, really upset, right? Now, as an agent looking back, I can think, oh my gosh, I can't believe she didn't fire me sooner. The reason really is because I just wasn't qualified for the purchase. But eventually, she just said, I can't work with you anymore. And that was a really, really hard pill to swallow, in addition to not getting the house that we wanted. Whew. So now you need to know all the lessons that I learned from all of this. The good things I did, the bad things I did, what you should avoid for buying your first house. And that's gonna be in a part 2. So make sure you click right here, right now, and I'll see you on the next one.